Milwaukee is on fire, and it's on fire because black rioters decided that a black officer shooting an armed black man who'd stolen a gun, who apparently attempted to turn on police, required burning of cars and looting of stores and hurling of rocks at the cops and attacking random white passers-by. Our first black president, the great godlike figure sent from on high to unify the country on all issues racial, has gone golfing. The sheriff of Milwaukee, a black man, has now stated that Americans ought to focus less on reforming the police and more on fixing the ghetto, and the media blame him for the problem. Milwaukee hasn't seen a Republican mayor since April 1960, but the media and Democrats will find a way to blame Trump, white Americans, and capitalism. After all, they've been doing that for decades. The left has been preparing for this sort of activity, virtually begging for it, since the racial conflagrations of the 60s and 70s. Leftists like former D.C. Mayor Marion Barry, they used to use riots and looting as a pressure tactic to force local government to cave to the left agenda. Now, major American cities have been turned into wastelands, so the left has an excuse to impose its big government, high-tax agenda and blame white Americans in the process. Leftist philosophy, it's been passed along in the mother's milk of Milwaukee's residents. No wonder one rioter explained the motivations behind the looting like this, quote, "The rich people got all this money and they not like, trying to give us none." This is the complete victory of the Marxist substitution of racial warfare for class warfare. In the 60s, Marxists realized that their strategy of dividing Americans between rich and poor wouldn't succeed because everybody was kind of getting rich. Instead, they shifted their focus to racial conflict. They told minorities they could never succeed in America thanks to the capitalist system that would naturally oppress them. The outcome? People rioted in the streets on the basis of race while believing that they were rioting on the basis of class. Things are about to get worse, not better, too, thanks to the media and the Democrats. The riots are going to continue. Police will continue to pull out of dangerous areas, fearing that their lives will be ruined if they shoot a bad guy with a gun. The black officer in this case has had to go into hiding thanks to the situation. The murder rate, of course, will increase. In 2015, Milwaukee experienced the most murders it had since 1993. There's a 70% spike over 2014. People will feel victimized, and they'll blame all the people leftists tell them to blame, rather than working with police to tamp down the crime rate and make communities livable. It's all a tragedy, and it has to stop. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. So, first off, want to thank our newest advertiser, Boll & Branch. Boll & Branch is a sheet company. They make sheets, and it's spectacular. I got to say, I don't know much about sheets. Like, I'm the guy who would drive past a gas station and would say, 1,000 thread count sheets, $10. And I think, oh my God, that's a lot of threads in one sheet. That sounds great. And then I'd sleep on it, and it turns out that it's actually like a plastic tarp. If you actually don't know anything about sheets or how they work, then you need to go to bollandbranch.com. And the reason that you need to go to bollandbranch.com, is B-O-L-L and branch.com, is because not only are their sheets fantastic, it's all made from pure 100% organic cotton. I've tried their sheets. You put it on the bed last night. Wow, it's a whole different level. And they don't have middlemen, so you can buy directly from them, so you're paying basically wholesale prices. Really nice sheets, like really nice sheets, they can cost like $1,000. Boll & Branch, you're talking a couple of $100, which sounds expensive for a sheet, but it really isn't when you consider that you're sleeping on one every single night, and it makes a huge difference. I can tell you, I got the best night's sleep last night I've had in months because of Boll & Branch sheets. They really are terrific. 3 U.S. presidents and a bunch of celebrities sleep on Boll & Branch sheets, including Bill Clinton is one of those presidents. That means presidents and celebrities sleep on that one set of sheets if you're Bill Clinton. The shipping is free. You can try out their sheets for 30 nights, and if you don't like them, you send them back for a refund too. So you can try them out and see if you like, but you're not going to want to send them back. They're really, really good. And right now, if you go to bollandbranch.com, and use the promo code Ben, so they know it's me sending you, you get a 20% discount off your entire order, which is a lot of money. I mean, when you're talking about a $200 set of sheets, it's $20 right off the top. That's bollandbranch.com, promo code Ben, and they come beautifully packaged in these really pretty boxes that my daughter is playing with right now. It's bollandbranch.com, promo code Ben. Check it out. It's fantastic. B-O-L-L and branch.com. Okay, so lots to get to today. We begin with the situation in Milwaukee. So another week, another riot. So this time there's a riot over a black guy getting shot by a black cop. So this just proves to you that it's not the racist, white, evil cops who are after the black people. It turns out that the black evil cops are after black people too. Basically, you stick on that uniform, and you may as well be putting on a white sheet. Not a Boll & Branch sheet, but like a white sheet with a hood. So, in any case, the Milwaukee police, they're already announcing the shooting was justified. They have clear video evidence. The guy had a gun on him. He apparently turned on the cop, and the cop shot him. Here's the Milwaukee police explaining just that.
Right now, police and city officials are discussing the body camera video that the police officer had on him when he did shoot that suspect. The police chief says the video makes it clear that the shooting was within lawful bounds. The mayor says he saw a still shot, essentially a photo of that video that he says shows that the suspect did have a gun on him. Now, the police have yet to release that video, and a number of the protesters last evening were saying they want to see that video. Police say they're still conducting their investigation, and they're not yet going to do so.
Okay, so first off, worth noting, again, this is a black cop who did the shooting. There are statistics that show that black cops are more likely to shoot black suspects than white cops are, because white cops are afraid that they're going to be run through the mill. But apparently it applies to black cops, too. We, of course, saw that in Baltimore, where it's a majority black police force, and that hasn't stopped the Department of Justice from calling the black police force racist for picking on black people. So the natural response to all of this, of course, is when a black guy pulls a gun on a cop, and it's a stolen gun, and turns around and gets shot by the cop, and it's a black cop, my natural response is to go steal some hair extensions. I don't know about you, but that's my thing. I like stealing hair extensions. So, you know, that's actually what happened. People decided that it's time to loot and riot. Here's a freedom fighter in Milwaukee stealing some hair extensions, because those hair extensions were they were cultural appropriation. They were aspects of white supremacy, and so this delightful human being is stealing a bunch of hair extensions, presumably from a black-owned shop, which is just the way that you fight in favor of freedom. See, here's the logic, I think. The logic is the police, they're not targeting enough criminals. So I'm going to be a criminal, and then the police can target me. Or maybe that's not the logic. Maybe there's not any logic. Maybe they just want some hair extensions. I mean, maybe that might be more logical. Or maybe they're burning cars over there, destroying cars over there, because the cars are elements of white supremacy. I mean, if you look at this car, the first thing I saw when I saw this car, first of all, it's a black car, so I don't know why they're so upset about it, but it's a black car, and they're destroying it because presumably cars are just an extension of the evil white racist capitalist system. This car particularly must have done something to a black person at some point, because they are pissed off, and here's how it goes with this car.
Black power in this man.
Yep.
Ooh! No, they ain't taser.
All right, good time. So, black power means beat the crap out of the car. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but, you know, there you have it. I guess that's, if you think that's striking back against the man, I suppose. Also, they chanted black power, these rioters, as they burned down a gas station, so that was exciting. They had some fun.
BP is done.
Okay, so they're burning down a gas station and shouting black power, which seems, again, very logical. See, the thing is that when black people want gas, the last place they'd want to go is to a gas station. They'd presumably want to go to some culturally appropriate gas center. I don't know. I don't have any explanation for this. I gotta be real. They're burning down a gas station in their own neighborhood and shouting black power, and I'm failing to see how burning down a gas station that's probably owned by a minority person, given the area where this is taking place, why that exactly is an element of black power. But apparently it is. Also, the rioters were targeting white people, which makes perfect sense since a black cop shot a black guy, so the white people are to blame. So here is the Milwaukee rioters targeting white people. Yeah, so they're shouting black power. Oh, look, the white person's telling it's time to chase the white guy. The new Olympics. So, if you're wondering, it's kind of late. Why don't these people go to sleep so they can go to their job in the morning? It's because they don't have jobs, presumably. And so they're shouting black power and chasing the white people all over the city of Milwaukee. And this, of course, means that white people are the problem, right? Clearly, this is because of all the evil white people. And some of these people were kind enough to sort of explain that. Here are some of the agitators yelling at the police. So that was amusing. The agitators yelling at the cops. You can watch that. Calling the cops I believe they're calling cops the F word, right? Like the amusing things about this sort of thing is that you're allowed to use this sort of language with regard to the cops, but none of the people who are into gay rights will care about it because, after all, you're just yelling it at the police officers, so it's totally fine. Okay, but there were a couple people who explained what their agenda was, and I think it's important to understand the agenda of people who are stealing hair extensions, burning cars, breaking cars, running after white people in the streets. It's very important to understand what their real gripe is, because, after all, I mean, I gotta be honest, I don't really see the gripe after a cop shoots an armed suspect who tries to pull a gun on the cop. I like, call me crazy, but I just don't see why that leads to riots. Fortunately, we have this fine gentleman to explain.
It's sad because, this will happen because they're not helping the black community. Like, the rich people, they got all this money and they're not like, trying to give us none.
Aha. And there you have it. The rich people, they've got all this money and they're not giving it to us. See, it used to be, in a moral universe, this would be called robbery. See, when you think that somebody else has money and they're not giving it to you, so you burn things down, that would be called looting, robbery. It's immoral. It's immoral. I have people I know who are significantly richer than I, but I have never yet thought to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to burn my neighbor's car. This only comes about because you have generations of people being told that all of the problems with their life are the result of the system. They're the result of racist cops who are keeping them down, the result of racist police officers who are shooting them for no reason or taking them off to jail for no reason. It's the result of a racist system that's coming after them. Now, worth noting, this supposedly racist system has been run by Democrats literally since April 1960. There has not been a Republican mayor of Milwaukee since, let's see, I was born in 84, since 24 years before I was born. Okay, the year that John F. Kennedy was elected was the last time that there was a Republican mayor in the city of Milwaukee. Well, that doesn't seem to matter to these folks. They say that the big problem is all the evil white people who are keeping them down and not redistributing the wealth. You wonder why Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders are in favor of these kinds of riots? You wonder why they seem so soft on this kind of activity? Because they are the natural outgrowth of an ideology that they spout. If the ideology is that nothing you do in life is going to allow you success, and therefore your only outlet is violence and rage and rioting, well then, you shouldn't be surprised when there's a lot of violence and rage and rioting, and a lot of failures, and no success, and tremendous racism. The left, by the way, will claim that none of this is racist. It's okay, it's not racist because black people can't be racist. Watch these rioters, okay? You're going to now watch some rioters talking about what they think of white people and whether they want white people in their communities.
Back on vacation, bro. We do not want justice or peace anymore. We done with that. We want blood like y'all want. We want blood. We want the same y'all want. Eye for eye. No more peace. All that. Ain't no more peace. Ain't no more peace. Because we cannot cohabit with white people. One of us has to go, black or white. He got to go. Y'all got to go. Look, bro. Go over there. Hold on.
Let these people get their pain out. Y'all ain't got a clutch. They hurt.
They're saying, if you can't hear them properly, they're shouting at the police officers and they're saying that we can't cohabitate with white people anymore. We don't want to be anywhere near white people. White people are the problem. Okay, except that in Baltimore, the majority of the police force is black. It doesn't seem to matter. The bottom line is that law and order is the problem, because law and order only works if you trust the system that the law and order is based on. The enforcement mechanism for an evil society, those are the bad guys, right? If you lived in Nazi society, there's law and order in Nazi society too. But the people who are enforcing the law and order, those were the bad guys because they were enforcing on behalf of an immoral, evil system. I remember I was in a CNN green room one time with Van Jones, who's sort of a racial agitator, former green job czar at the Obama administration. We were sitting there on CNN, we were about to go on CNN, and we started talking about exactly this topic. It was during the Ferguson riots. And I said, well, I don't understand. Why is the solution to attack the cops? I mean, you need more cops in these communities to ensure that there's law and order so that people can actually invest in the communities. There can be better business. Why can't we agree on this? And he says, you know how Jews think of Nazis? That's how a lot of black people think of the police. In other words, they're the enforcement mechanism for an evil state. And this has been what's so irritating about this particular election cycle is that Donald Trump left an opening on the right because he keeps talking about how America's a really terrible place. And the left has started talking about how America's a great place. But the left doesn't believe America's a great place. The left believes America is an awful place. The left believes America is awful and sexist and racist and terrible. They believe that the system is just corrupt and evil. They believe that it's horrible in every possible way it can be. And therefore, anybody who enforces that system is now the bad guy. You're now the enforcement wing. You're the enforcement wing of the bad guys, right? The cops are now the people who are enforcing a system that's destroying your life. That's the idea here. And if you believe that, then of course you're going to riot. Of course things are going to get worse and not better. That mentality is not going to bear any dividends for black folks living in the inner city. It certainly is not. It's actually going to cripple them. It's going to ensure that people living in downtrodden areas like Milwaukee, those people are now trapped in a spiral of violence and crime they can't get out of. Because every time somebody says, okay, let's put some more resources there to stop the crime, they say, wait, those resources are just they're just the bad guys on behalf of the evil regime. When you talk down America as racist, doesn't matter if the police are racist or not. They're representative of racist America. That's why it's so nasty and negative what President Obama has done. He's going golfing. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of this. It's amazing how the media treat Obama with kid gloves. There's another flood in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 5 people have died. Have you seen Obama in Baton Rouge, Louisiana? No, he's of course nowhere nearby. He's golfing somewhere. I'm old enough to remember during Hurricane Katrina when it was the end of the world. Bush was a racist for not doing more for not doing the Superman routine, going up and holding up the levees himself. Obama, who pledged the waters would recede if he was president, he goes golfing in the middle of a massive flood in Louisiana that largely affects black people. Nobody cares. All of this is devastating, and it's terrible, and it's going to get worse, not better, because the left has a vested interest in calling America evil and terrible and awful. That is their vested interest. And then when this stuff happens, they act like it's a big surprise. They act like it's a terrible surprise. Well, we have to end the Facebook Live here, but we have much, much more coming, including a great episode of Good Trump, Bad Trump. Plus, you're not going to want to miss the things I hate today because it's spectacular. Go to dailywire.com to watch the rest. Become a subscriber. $8 a month is all that it costs. I mean, come on, folks. That's like one meal at McDonald's. You can go without. I mean, you're fat enough. Go to dailywire.com and subscribe there. Or you can download the show later at iTunes and SoundCloud, the #1 conservative podcast in America, The Ben Shapiro Show.